Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Stuart Allen Swerdlow.
And Janet Diane Moria Swerdlow.
And this is the Expansions News Podcast for the very last days of June 2020. And boy, they sure going out with a bang. We got it.
That is sexist.
Why?
You said boy.
They sure
or you could say
going
plural
out with
to balance it
no,
out.
it's I guess June is non-binary. Because there was that snowstorm earlier in the month in the Rockies, and they called it Junuary. So that means June doesn't know if it's a summer or winter, so it's non-binary.
We had Juneteenth, so that
And
doesn't
Juneteenth,
know.
what the heck that means?
What
no one's
number
told.
is that?
It's nobody knows.
So anyway, you can't say boy because that's racist.
No.
Or is that right? Sexist. We gotta keep on
I am
right.
not
It's-
politically correct. I don't care what people think about me. I will tell the truth and use the words that I want to use to tell the truth. And if you don't like it, you can go to binary hell.
Well,
How do you
I'm
like
going
that?
to point it all out for everybody.
Well, what I'm going to point out is actually related to this. But before I go into that, first of all, I was going to say that last night we had a horrible, horrible storm, which I worked a lot to deflect, and I sent it to where Governor Whitmer lives. And it kind of went around. But I woke up this morning with a big tree limb
Really?
on my
Really?
driveway.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
It's getting worse.
Yes.
But keep going.
And of course, our maintenance person is on vacation, of course.
Oh yes.
And
of
so
course.
I, Dr. Stuart Allen Swerdlow,
Had to deal with a big
had
tree.
to drag this giant tree the size of Wisconsin.
It's a big tree, trust me.
It wasn't.
I saw
You
it.
did see it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And did you help? No. And so I had to pull it, drag it to the ravine and throw it I couldn't throw it, I just got as far in as I possibly could. At great physical expense to myself.
I should sell the video.
Well, you weren't even helping. But speaking of you, this is what I got for my Father's Day gift. Not what I wanted.
They
But
can't
it is
see
what-
all. You should pull it up so you can see all your
I'm going to
grandkids.
pull it up.
Yes, sorry
No.
up here.
No, they don't need to see
Ah.
everybody. They don't need to see
They don't
everybody.
need to know that you're not wearing
But,
pants.
I'm not wearing anything underneath, so just all I'm wearing is the shirt. So anyway, so
So I got
that's
you a
what.
long one. Looks like a moo-moo.
Yeah, exactly. No one knows what that means anymore. That's from
Sure they
50
do.
years ago.
If they go to Hawaii, they know what a moo-moo is.
My mother used to wear that, and I still don't even know what it
People in
means.
Hawaii, it's a big,
Anyway.
loose dress.
Yes, but my mother wore them. Anyway.
I'm so happy to know that.
And so I wanted to tell you. I wanted to tell you last week, but I forgot to get that we, the governors in Democratic states are sending in mail-in ballots. So Janet and I, you could see Miss Whitmer,
Send us some personally.
she sent it personally to us, our mail-in ballots. But here's the thing, we're not registered in Michigan. So why did we get the mail-in ballots? And who else who shouldn't be getting ballots are getting them?
And other people in our household didn't get them. We should have been getting them.
Exactly. So the fraud has already begun. And I also want to read to you something that it said 45 out of 50 governors did not force the COVID-infected patients into nursing homes, but 5 did. Who were the 5? Cuomo in New York, Wolf in Pennsylvania, Whitmer in Michigan, Murphy in New Jersey, and Newsom, or as I call him, Newscomb, in
Nuisance.
California.
Nuisance.
And it said nearly half, and probably more than that, of all COVID nursing home deaths were in these 5 states. It's not an accident, and it's being called systemic murder, and that these 5 governors can be brought up on third-degree murder charges. So just letting you know, and I just got a call from a very important person in Texas who gave me some personal information about what's going on, and he said that he believes, and he actually thinks it's true, that as we speak, arrests are being made across the country of certain individuals, which I will find out who they will be and maybe report next week to you.
Or on our blog, if you're a member, you'll
Yeah.
get to hear first.
Yeah. So, or I hope it's not me. Well, it will be you. Trust God. Oh, you don't trust God. Sorry. Anyway, As you know, also our videos are being attacked by YouTube and even Vimeo.
Vimeo took us down. When the YouTube left up,
Yeah.
Vimeo took down.
Yeah, so it's like they're all playing, let's attack expansion, as well as everybody else who tells the truth. But as Q says, keep going, keep posting. They knock down your account, put up another one, and on and on and on and on, because they are going to be also indicted for treason and for blocking the truth. They're all desperate. And speaking of desperate people, I have a story here that's actually from 2012. But the reason I'm going to read you some salient points from it is because it's appropriate on what's going on today, and it's about former President Barack Obama. And do you know, by the way, what Barack means in Hebrew?
What?
Lightning. Lightning, yes. And he's Barack Insane Hussein Obama.
Or Barry Soteros.
Or Barry Sotero, which was his name in Indonesia. And I'm going to get to that in a minute, because according to this 2012 article, a prominent member of Chicago's homosexual community claims that Barack Obama's participation in the gay bar and bathhouse scene was so well known that many who were aware of his lifestyle were shocked when he ran for president and even won the White House. According to Kevin Dujan, or Dujan, I don't know how to pronounce his name, who was a gossip columnist, he said it was preposterous to the people I knew then to think Obama was going to keep his gay life secret. Nobody who knew Obama in the gay bar scene thought he could possibly be president. Obama used to go to the gay bars during the week, mostly on Wednesday, and they said he was very much into older white guys, thus explaining Mr. Biden. It is common knowledge in the Chicago gay community that Obama actively visited the gay bars and bathhouses in Chicago while he was an Illinois state senator. And he was a member of the East Bank Club in Chicago, which is an upscale fitness center where homosexuals meet and engage in sexual activity. And there was a man named Larry Sinclair, a homosexual, who claimed Obama's 2008 presidential campaign had paid to rig a polygraph test regarding Sinclair's sensational charge that he had sex and used cocaine twice with Obama while Obama was an Illinois state senator. And Sinclair's story is in a book called Barack Obama and Larry Sinclair, Cocaine, Sex, Lies, and Murder.
Sounds like an interesting read.
Should be a movie, I think.
It might be.
And it should also be a testimony in Barack Obama's treason trial. And it also is claimed that when Obama was in college, his Pakistani roommate and he were gay lovers. And also there's Obama's relationship with his personal aide and former body man named Reggie Love. I got that for a name. There's also Obama's association with convicted Chicago real estate magnate Tony Resco and Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan and Reverend Wright, all of whom are racist and against the United States and white people. Obama, it says, was a dirty politician that the media never wanted to vet, and that's what concerned everyone about Obama. And in an article in the Wayne Madsen report of May 2010, it claims that Obama and Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel were members of the same bathhouse in Chicago. It says President Obama and his chief of staff, Rahm Emanuel, are lifetime members of the same gay bathhouse in uptown Chicago. According to informed sources, Chicago gay community said that they are, it's also known by veteran political sources in the city. Now listen, why am I telling you all this? I don't care about their sexuality. I don't care who they sleep with. I really don't. The point is that he lies about who he is, and he's lied about, his birth certificate is from Kenya. When he entered college, he registered as an Indonesian foreign student to get foreign aid.
Well, even his brother puts out all this information.
His own brother details this. He claims to be straight and married, but we know that he's a Muslim and that his wife, Michael, is a tranny.
Well, even go back to Joan Rivers all the time. She said we have a gay president.
And then she died. She was killed.
She said we have a gay president, and
a couple
we know
months later, she was dead.
that his wife is a tranny. That's what she said.
And his fake children. I mean, we just saw, they posted on Father's Day, Michael and Michelle posted, oh, thank you with our children. And you look at them, it's like, they don't even look like either one of you, and they're not even the same color code. I'm sorry. Nothing to do against black people, but, you know, Michelle is pretty dark, and Obama has a certain cast to him. These children are like white, almost.
Well, and the other thing is there's no pictures ever of her pregnant, as you know.
Right, and there never will be, because she never was. So I'm just giving you this information to show that he lies about who he is, what he does, and his entire background is manufactured.
Where he came from.
Where he came from, it's all like, is he Kenyan, Indonesian, born in a hospital in Hawaii that didn't exist until 3 or 4 years after he was born?
How about, is he Islamic? He swore on the
Even,
Quran.
there's a video out there being interviewed by a reporter, and he says he wants to talk about his Muslim background, and the reporter says, you mean Christian? He's, oh yes, my Christian. So he lies. Anyway, speaking of liars, John Bolton describes the turning point in his relationship with President Trump, which undercuts the premise of the former National Security Advisor's blockbuster book, and contends a former National Security Council Chief of Staff who was there that it's a lie. He said the decision not to bomb Iran reflected the president's principle not to get America into additional wars, and Bolton had a problem with this. When we hear that the president doesn't have principles and is not qualified to lead, this incident that Bolton puts forward as the turning point for his relationship with President Trump, in my mind, this other person, disproves the whole book, and the person's name is Fleitz. Fleitz said that unlike Secretary of State by Pompeo and others, Bolton couldn't figure out how to work with an unconventional president, and yes, he is very unconventional. And this past week, Pompeo challenged the veracity of Bolton's book, condemning him as a traitor who damaged America. He said it's both sad and dangerous that John Bolton's final public role is that of a traitor who damaged America by violating his sacred trust with its people, he said in a statement. And I want to read, before I continue with this particular line of thought, about what we have known about Obamagate. And what we didn't know is when the policy of spying on Americans began, the domestic surveillance of political opponents by the NSA predate what they said about Russia, and actually it has something to do with Russia, but goes to Iran. In the first public revelation that the White House was spying on high-level members of a political party came in 2015, when members of Congress had eavesdropped on an operation to sabotage Prime Minister Netanyahu's campaign against the Iran deal. And it said the Israeli leader had been targeted by a massive spy campaign to stop Israel from taking out Iran's nuclear weapons. And a new wave of surveillance was no longer just against the potential Israeli attack on Iran, but was part of a political campaign to win the domestic argument to aid Iran and legalize its nuclear program. And this came from, guess who? Obama and his associates had redefined national security as the pursuit of his dangerous foreign policy, and the new national security threats were administration critics who surveilled in order to entrap them. So they went against people who were worried about the terrorists. That's who Obama was attacking. Surveillance had morphed from spying on Obama's political opponents to conspiring to lock them up, and this is where General Flynn comes in. General Flynn had been a key opponent of the Iran policy, and Flynn had already been forced out once. His return wasn't supposed to happen, and it was seen as a threat. A man named Ubay Shabandar, who had worked for the DIA, the Department of Defense Intelligence Agency, and served on the ground in Iraq as a strategic analyst, noted that Flynn had warned Obama that Al-Qaeda in Iraq would make a comeback. And he, exactly as he warned, shortly after that he was fired. It was a pretext for taking down Flynn was generated when he called Ambassador Kislyak of Russia about an anti-Israel resolution coming up at the UN. The Obama administration had played a key role in generating these shadow resolutions and to force other countries to pressure Israel. Israel, along with the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt, and any Trump associates friendly to them, had become targets in a shadow war meant to keep Obama's foreign policy in place even under the Trump administration. Obamagate was waged to protect a foreign policy based around Iran and the Muslim Brotherhood. And this was why Walid Fares, a Trump advisor, and this is an interesting name. Walid, of course, is an Arab name, and Fares is also a very ancient surname of ancient Hebrew tribal members of the Lost Tribes. That's very interesting, who went to Central Asia. And Fares, a Trump advisor, was also investigated by the FBI and the Mueller team for his friendliness to President Sisi's of Egypt anti-Islamic government in Egypt. Flynn and Fares were investigated because they posed a threat to Obama's pro-Islamist foreign policy, and that was Susan Rice's pretext for unmasking the names of Trump officials meeting with the Crown Prince of the United Arab Emirates. The Obama administration had not only redefined support for Islamic terrorist states as being in our country's national interest, but also redefined opposition to Islamic terror as a national security threat. So if you oppose terrorism, you were a national security threat. How do you like that one? Flynn and Fares were targeted because they were critics of the Iran deal and the Brotherhood. After Obama and his cronies had dismantled counterterrorism and crippled the military, they took national security to an inverted Orwellian world in which terrorism was national security and national security was terrorism. And members of the incoming Trump administration were the greatest national security threat because they opposed Obama's foreign policy and aiding Islamic terrorism. This is big, big deal, people, and will be coming up soon. The Arab Spring and the Brotherhood's ascendancy has been crucial to Obama's vision of a new Middle East, which invoked regime change for Egypt and Saudi Arabia, but not Iran. The Brotherhood's collapse across the region had been personally humiliating for Obama and his people, and they haven't given up their dreams of a Muslim Brotherhood reconquest of Egypt. Iran was Obama's last shot at his grand strategy to realign America's foreign policy with Islamic terror states. And the growing friendship of Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates towards Israel and against the Islamists and Iran was a threat to Obama. Flynn directly intervened to stop an Obama shadow UN resolution aimed at Israel. His cronies in the intelligence community struck back hard, taking revenge over Flynn's effort to protect Israel and marking their territory from Egypt to Iran, and began a civil war waged within the limited confines of Washington, D.C., and now, of course, expanded to the whole country. Obama's spying on Congress and pro-Israel activists for the Wall Street Journal while spinning the material in a way justified a latter date Watergate. The Obama administration betrayed America. It sold out the soldiers in the field and then their commanders, and when it lost power, it went to war against the civilian leadership using the tools that had been traditionally reserved for terrorists and had refused to take on and defeat. Obama didn't just corrupt our national security system to wage war in his successor administration. He did it to protect the Islamist terrorist enemies of the country and to preserve Iran and the Muslim Brotherhood. Instead of fighting Islamic terrorists, Obama used the national security state to spy on their opponents, beginning with pro-Israeli Americans and concluding with Trump allies in a horrifying act of treason. And that's why President Trump is now saying that Biden and Obama have committed treason. He's actually saying those words on national television, and there's a reason why. Obama is the biggest traitor and terrorist leader to the United States and to the world that they have ever known. This is a big, big deal.
What's interesting is they're putting now the memes on the social media with Obama and Michael and the girls saying, oh, we have a president with no scandals. And interestingly, 8 years as a president,
Yeah, he said,
all
I had a
of this,
scandal-free administration.
plus more.
Because the scandals were okay for you.
Right, they were okayed by him.
Yeah.
And also, they're saying, why didn't he deal with racism as a black president?
Right, if he was only half black, people think he's black, His mother was more white than any of us. And she was the daughter of Hitler, as we know. And so, please, he was set up from before he was born. Now, something also to know, I just found out from our Lebanese reporter who sent in information this morning to me, and she said that Iranian mercenaries in Syria are crossing into Lebanon, and she's quite concerned about this because Lebanon is in big trouble, as I told you last week. But obviously, they will be used against Israel in July when the West Bank is annexed. So we need to keep an eye on Lebanon and Syria and Iran in the next couple of weeks. Now, South Korea is getting in on this as well because U.S. national, this liar John Bolton, in his book, said that the leaders of the United States and the two Koreas the Koreans say, the South Koreans say, that the information about the United States and the two Koreas in the book is inaccurate and distorted. It says Bolton gives details in the book of conversations before and after 3 meetings between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, including how their second summit in Vietnam fell apart. And South Korea's national security advisor, Chung Hui-yong, says it does not reflect accurate facts and substantially distorts facts. He went on to say that the publication set a dangerous precedent, and he said, unilaterally publishing consultations made based on mutual trust violates the basic principles of diplomacy and could severely damage future negotiations. Bolton refers to President Moon's position as schizophrenic, and when asked about this, the Moon's office told reporters that perhaps Bolton is in that condition. Bolton is being propped up by Democrats and lying to hurt the Trump re-election possibility, but many deep secrets in Bolton's closet will be coming out really soon. Apparently, he's a sexual deviant.
Well, they all are.
Among other things.
That doesn't surprise me.
Now, let's switch gears a little bit. The Senate Intelligence Committee made the unusual request to ask the Pentagon for a detailed, unclassified report on unidentified aerial phenomena that some believe may not be of this world. One expert thinks this may stem from lawmakers being disturbed by what they heard. Nick Pope, a former employee and UFO investigator for Britain's Ministry of Defense, said, "I welcome this long overdue development. It suggests that those senators who received last year's classified briefing on UFOs were disturbed by it and weren't satisfied with the current DoD position, i.e., simply stating that the mystery objects encountered by naval aviators remain unidentified." In an interview earlier this month, Donald Trump Jr. asked his father if he would let us know if there are aliens, adding, "It's the only thing I really want to know, and if he would ever open up Roswell and let us know what's going on there." And the president said, "So many people ask me that question. There are millions and millions of people that want to go there, that want to see it. I won't talk to you about what I know about it, but it's very interesting." See, if you had a mustache, you'd go, "It was very interesting." But Roswell is a very interesting place with a lot of people that would like to know what's going on. We went to Roswell, didn't we? When pressed further about declassifying information about Roswell, the president said, "I'll have to think about that one." So, in light of all that's going on, the Pentagon releasing the naval aerial photo of the UFOs, this interview with, I'm sure was a setup on purpose to reveal all that. I think that there is going to be an announcement soon about the alien presence, and all of this chatter, as I call it, and pictures of the recent UFOs is all for a reason. Now, I know I'm jumping subjects again, but it's a lot of stuff that happened this week. And I need to go on because you know that there's been tension between China and India. And it's over a 2,170-mile border. I thought that was interesting. It's almost like the amount of 13 by 13 by 13 cubed what do you call it, 2,197, this is 2,170-mile border between China and India, and it's disputed in 20 different locations. And tensions began to rise on this Himalayan border between China and India in May, when Chinese forces objected to Indian road construction in the Galwan River Valley. Now, earlier this month, fighting broke out. It was restricted to hand-to-hand combat because there was an agreement not to use firearms.
I thought that was the strangest thing.
Very stupid.
But it's just strange. Just
Like, we can go to war, but not with weapons. Anyway, eventually 600 men were engaged in combat using stones, batons, iron rods, and other makeshift weapons. That's like the Antifa people
I know,
in
it doesn't
Seattle
make sense.
and St.
I read
Paul,
that article. It
Minneapolis.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Indian media reported that Chinese troops dammed up mountain streams, which they unblocked as the Indian troops approached. That's nice of them. The rush of water knocked many off their feet, and then the Chinese soldiers swept down, brandishing sticks encrusted with nails. The fighting took place in near total darkness, lasted up to 6 hours, and according to senior Indian military officers, Chinese troops used batons wrapped in barbed wire and clubs embedded with nails. That's just evil. Those are like sick, mean, evil people.
Honey, it's all evil. And whenever you talk about this kind of thing, it doesn't matter what they use, it's evil.
The Chinese really, they have to go. The fighting resulted in the deaths of 20 Indian soldiers, and U.S. intelligence believes that 35 Chinese soldiers died, including one senior officer. 10 Indian soldiers were taken captive and then released, and an unspecified number of Chinese soldiers were also captured by the Indian side, although it doesn't say they released them. On June 20th, India removed restrictions in the usage of firearms for Indian soldiers, so that means that they can shoot them if they attack them again.
That's what I said, it's all barbaric.
This all began in 1947 when India became an independent country and claimed brotherhood with China. But the two countries were at war until a peace agreement was reached in 1950, but war broke out again in 1962, and again in 1967, and then in 1993, and blah, 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 blah. It sounds like Israel and the Arab neighbors, which is why India is quite good friends with Israel and uses Israeli weapons, but China is also good friends with it. Very strange situation.
I said.
Yeah, so it's called the maintenance of peace and tranquility, which it is not, either one, and escalated into military conflict in 2017. China claims 90,000 square kilometers of territory in India's northeast, including the entire Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh, because it's Buddhist population. But China is against religion, so they shouldn't care if they're Buddhist or not, because they're anti-religion. India says China occupies 38,000 square kilometers of its territory in the Aksai Chin Plateau in the western Himalayas, including part of the Ladakh region. Which, by the way, Ladakh is in one of my books about these ancient Hebrews occupying and actually naming this area. China has been actively funding economic projects in Pakistan, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, and Nepal, which are India's close neighbors, and that's because they're trying to undermine India's influence in this region and put China's influence in instead. Now, here's where it's going. There's a Kabbalistic rabbi, Rabbi Ken Spiro, a historian and senior lecturer and researcher at Aish HaTorah Yeshiva, who sees China as the new enemy posing an entirely unprecedented danger. He says, I think the world has consistently underplayed the threat that China represents. They have never been on the world's military radar because they've never been directly expansionist regarding territory. They are much more nefarious. China has a powerful economy and even greater ambitions. Russia was never really an economic threat. It's funny because it says, Russia wanted to rule the world ideologically and militarily. Well, just that. But China wants to control the world technologically and economically. And they're much better situated to do this than Russia ever was. They have a superpower economy and steal other countries' technology. If there's going to be a third world war in the near future, it would be against China. They can worm their ways into other countries' technologies and infrastructure. Through China's technology, everything can be watched. Despite the threat posed by China, Rabbi Spiro emphasized an inner conflict as the key to fighting in future conflict. He says, we're seeing a major shift in humanity, a major rift in the Western world between universalism versus particularism. I don't know what the heck that means. Everything is being politicized along these lines, and in the World Wars and Cold War, the West had a unified front, but now there's inner conflict that's ripping the Western world apart, and that will prevent the ability of the U.S. to compete with China. Well, I hope that's not going to be true. Now, here's the other thing, which I think one of us reported a year or two ago. Rabbi Spiro noted that the One Belt, One Road, or OBOR, initiative was the major weapon in China's plan for global domination. The OBOR, or One Belt, One Road, initiative is a global development strategy adopted by the Chinese government in 2013, involving infrastructure development and investments in nearly 70 countries and international organizations in Asia, Europe, and Africa. And it's to create transportation and telecommunication trade infrastructure with the goal of creating a China-based global economy. And that's where the 5G comes in with the AI that created the freaking virus. Now, the project coincides with China's expanding its military. Analysts say almost all the ports and other transport infrastructure that China built is not only for commercial use, but also military purpose. So China builds ports in Africa and Europe and Asia and blah, blah, to help the economies. But guess what? They also set it up so that their Navy and military can be based there. Brilliant.
How about the canal?
They own the Panama Canal. It reminds me of the Islamic mosques that are being set up all over Europe and everywhere, because the mosque is not just a religious center, it is a military base. President Trump has been quietly working to oppose the OBOR with a program titled Free and Open Indo-Pacific Strategy. The European Union supports OBOR. Of course they support China, again, but they don't want China to give them the virus. So what's the story, EU? Many EU nations are opposed to this, but of course the EU is a dictatorship, so what the people have to say makes no difference to them. This One Belt initiative also has connections to the leadership of the United Nations, and particularly, guess what? The World Health Organization.
Hope's organization.
And we recently saw, we also saw the head of the Director General of WHO, this Ghebreyesus, who had a meeting which was on video in front of an idol of a Hindu god called Shiva the Destroyer. I think we refer to that. In fact, no less than 25 UN organizations are officially affiliated with this Chinese OBOR, including the World Bank, Meteorological Organization, International Maritime Organization, International Telecommunication Union, World Intellectual Property Organization, Universal Postal Union, and the International Civil Aviation Organization. That's just about everything.
All funded by Bill Gates.
Now, according to the rabbi, the Chinese and all the minority groups living in China are of the Mongoloid race, it's true, which stems from Noah's son, Japheth. Did you know that?
I do now.
Etymologists have conjectured that the name Mongol is derived from the name Magog, which is in the Bible. The Bible also contains a reference to China, because it says in Ezekiel, I will pour out my anger upon Sin, the stronghold of Egypt, and I will destroy the wealth of Egypt, and Sin shall writhe in anguish and shall be torn apart. And in Hebrew, Sin is the name for China. Isn't that funny? Sin is China.
Very interesting.
Hence the word Sino-Soviet relations, Sino-American, it's China. It's actually a Hebrew word. The real danger is from America destroying itself, according to the rabbi, which is true. The damage is already done. The only way humanity has ever rebooted itself is through world war. That's very sad. The final reboot will be Gog and Magog, which is in the Bible as a final war between good and evil. That doesn't mean a military war. It means also an ideological battle and aspects that have never been thought of as military before. So China is a major problem. It is, that should be contained, and they have a secret space program which is connected to the reptilians and insectoids. And I could have a webinar about that, but I won't. Anyway, I also had information this morning that some leaders in China are actually cooperating with President Trump to change global economy. We'll see by July 4th, which is just a week or so away. Anyway, just when you thought the virus was bad enough, there's even more trouble because there's the virus, there's the global economy imploding, massive civil unrest in the US and in Europe, giant swarms of locusts that are wiping out farms from Africa to India, and are now being seen in Argentina and headed for Brazil. And a massive plume of dust from the Sahara Desert in North Africa has now made its way to the Caribbean and is now closing in on the United
You know
States.
what they call that? Godzilla.
They call it Godzilla. Why?
Yeah, because they said that it's the most unusual storm in the last 50 years.
Well, that's the most significant event in the last 50 years, and they said it's truly unusual and is dangerous to the Caribbean islands and to health issues. As a plume travels across the U.S., air quality will drop precipitously, and a thick layer is projected to start hitting Texas, actually yesterday.
Do you have that it's going to go around the world?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, they claim that it's going to go around the world and end in Portugal.
Oh, they know that's where it's going to land, so it's
that's
like,
what I was
on a
gonna say.
mission.
That's what I was going to say. There's something very odd about
Yeah, I think
Godzilla
that's very
going
odd.
around the world, circling the globe, and ending up in Portugal.
But then it has to go back to Africa before it gets to Portugal.
That's what they say.
Something's odd with that story.
Very odd.
I don't think it's what they say. But besides all that, California was hit with a 5.8 earthquake,
With aftershocks, right?
with a lot of aftershocks. And on your phone, there was an emergency alert which said earthquake, expect shaking, drop, cover, hold on, protect yourself now. But by the way, the alerts sometimes you don't get them until it starts shaking.
No, it's not supposed to say this.
It's like when we get the tornado warnings, it's like tornado on the ground. It's like, tell me before the freaking tornado hits the ground, because once it's here, what am I going to do? Okay, stupid warnings, really stupid. Like last night, dangerous storm coming. It's like,
We can hear, we know.
Yeah, hello, what am I supposed to do now? After I stopped crying, I thought that. Anyway, overall, there has been 2,267 earthquakes in California and Nevada alone in the last 7 days,
Oh my goodness.
which is definitely alarming. And in addition, a huge earthquake struck Mexico's southern Oaxaca region. And we know there was a 6-point in Iceland. And we know that there was a tornado in Istanbul, which is extremely unusual. So the entire Pacific Rim is moving. Volcano activity is erupting globally. Big storms are rolling across the country. It's very scary.
Lots
Very
of stuff
scary.
going on.
But before you continue,
Okay.
I
haven't even started, so I can't continue.
no, well, but you've been interjecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, rudely so, I may add. But those of you who follow Q, you know that we're it is a civil war in the United States right now. And so Q has asked us to take this oath. And so I'm going to take the oath. You want to take it too?
No.
Are you a communist?
No.
Anyway, I'm going to take it. And I want you to know this is very significant, because being the grandnephew of the first president of the Soviet Union, who was a dictator and a murderer, and I know about communism, I know about concentration camps, I know about Antifa and what this represents and what George Soros represents, and it is not a good thing. So all of you should take this oath, and I'm going to do it right now, raise my right hand, and say, I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office in which I am about to enter. So help me God, where we go one, we go all. And you may.
All right.
Go on.
So you did mention about Trump for the first time talking about Obama, called him, saying that he would be potentially, the crime he would be potentially talking about would be treason. So
Yes,
that's
it's
the very
treason.
first time that he did
The same
that.
with the
So
governors.
just want to emphasize, because I had that in my news also. But this was interesting to me about Black Lives Matter, because apparently there is a larger network called Black Lives Matter Global Network. And Black Lives Matter Global Network, according to an audited financial statement from its fiscal sponsor called Thousand Currents, has spent millions on salaries, travel, and consultants since 2017. And on June 11th, it said it's launching a $6.5 million fund to support affiliated chapters with grants up to $500,000. Now, a spokesperson for Thousand Currents, which remember is its fiscal sponsor, was formerly called IDEX, IDEX, confirmed that it was approached by Black Lives Matter Global Network in 2016 to create a fiscal sponsorship arrangement which enabled the activist group to use Thousand Currents' charitable status to receive tax-deductible contributions. In this capacity, we provide administrative and back office support, including finance, accounting, grants management, insurance, human resources, legal, and compliance. Now, I want you to understand that Black Lives Matter is not a grassroots organization.
No,
This
it's
is more of
created
the
by George
background.
Soros. It's created by white people.
Yes, Thousand Currents' primary charitable activity is to support grassroots groups and movements in, listen to this, it's global, South America, Africa, and Southeast Asia, according to its own website. And in fact, in 2016, Black Lives Matter Global Network agreed to make donations to Thousand Currents partners in Zimbabwe and South Africa instead of administrating fees for its fiscal sponsorship services. Now, Thousand Currents did not respond to numerous inquiries seeking clarification on how much they contributed to overseas partners since they began their partnership in 2016. Now, not everybody agrees with what's going on. So Black Lives Matter Cincinnati announced in March 2018 that it was changing its names because the national group had perverted the Black Lives Matter brand. So Black Lives Matter Cincinnati said it was changing its names to Mass Action for Black Liberation. And it goes on to say that Black Lives Matter did not create or build this new grassroots movement against police brutality and racism. They capitalized off a nameless groundswell of resistance sweeping the nation, branded it as their own, and profited from the deaths of black men and women around the country without seriously engaging as a national formation in getting justice for fighting families. All the while raking in hundreds of thousands of dollars from high-end speaking engagements and donations from foundations that support the black struggle. So again, this is another front. So if you're giving money to Black Lives
It's
Matter,
not going to them.
it's not going to where you think it's going
It's
to go.
gone to the Democratic Party.
And a lot of other people in there who are engaging in taking global control, one world government.
And you brought up something this week, that the word demonstrator, the first letter is demon.
That's
They're
right.
demonstrators.
And speaking of demonstrators, I don't know if you heard about this story in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where a mob actually torched a home that was rumored to be linked to missing girls. And then they attacked the police when the police responded. So apparently there was an unruly mob. Apparently it was hundreds of people. So it's like, in my mind, how do these hundreds of people get there? There has to be some network.
Yeah,
Like
George
I'm just
Soros paid for their
telling
tickets.
you.
That's how
But I'm
happened.
telling you that there's a network, because people don't just show up,
I know.
hundreds of them, when something happens.
Sometimes thousands.
So apparently there was these two missing girls. The parents claimed they were in these houses, and the police officers went to investigate. And there were so many people, and it was so unruly, that a line of 20 police officers formed to hold the crowd back in order that the investigating officers could go in and investigate. So apparently when the officers left, then this group barged in, burned the house, burned and smashed vehicles, and the chief Morales of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and denounced vigilantism that erupted at the scene, and he said the whole chain of events could have been avoided because there were shootings, there were all kinds of things, not by the officers, however, but the crowd shot each other. He said, what you had today is vigilantism. You had people take the law into their own hands and run off information that has not been proven. We need to investigate that. That's what the police are for. He said that the mob did nothing but detract from the investigation, and it got people injured. We have to be allowed to conduct our investigation and not chase a crowd. In fact, a total of 7 Milwaukee police officers and 1 firefighter were injured, not including the civilians that were there. Now, what's interesting, according to the chief, the police did not even receive cooperation from the missing girl's family. And the families now say the girls are there, but the girls cannot account for their missing time away. And they will not talk to the police, and the police have only been able to confirm that one of the girls is actually there. So we don't know what's happened, but this is what happens when mobs rule, and you let these people do these things. And speaking of law and order, now, at the city of Minneapolis, as you know, has voted to dismantle its police force.
Big mistake.
And Representative Steve Green in Minnesota, state representative, said that what you're looking at, in my humble opinion, is communism moving into Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Right.
And not just communism, but the leftist Islamic alliance.
That's right.
Green asserted that Antifa and the Muslim organizers plan to police Minneapolis under Muslim rule. And this is what the sheriff said that I reported on, I think, about 2 weeks ago.
And I posted a video on my blog about that.
And that could be one of the ones that they took down when I talked about that. Now, the Minneapolis City Council was 2 weeks ago that they voted to abolish the city's police force, but they haven't said what's going to replace it. Now, what's interesting to me, because I didn't know this, and maybe you did, but apparently there already are Sharia patrols in Germany, Britain, and even New York City, and they call them Muslim Community Patrol, or MCP. Did you know that?
Oh, I know about Europe.
But they have it in New York City. They said in New York City, the officers wear uniforms that strongly resemble the New York Police Department uniforms, and they drive cars designed to look like New York's Police Department, and it's meant to enforce the fundamentals of Sharia. Muslim leader Siraj Wahaj explained that what that's meant. He said the mosques need protection, and the MCP cars can help stop people who are not following the rules and regulations of Sharia, such as Muslim women being out after dark, like that's against U.S. rules, right? Muslim men hanging out in the corners, Muslims drinking liquor, and basically the fundamentals of the Sharia. If such a community patrol is launched in Minneapolis, it's likely to focus on the same things. And we want to remember that the 5th Congressional District in Minneapolis, which is Representative Ilhan Omar's district,
of course,
is the jihad terror recruitment capital of the U.S.
And remember, her father was a murderer in Somalia.
Sharia calls upon Muslims to wage war against and subjugate unbelievers. Islam historically has never had any difficulty coexisting with authoritarian governments. In fact, it's free republics that are incompatible with Islamic law. So Steve Green, Representative Steve Green's words are not that far-fetched at this point. The unholy alliance of leftists and Islamic supremacists sees that its moment is now, and it's grabbing all that it can. The time for the people is to stand up now and stop the power grab of these insidious totalitarian forces. So amazing what's going on here in the U.S., and nobody's stopping it.
And that's what bothers me, is like, why isn't the president doing something about it?
Well, there's a lot of people. Now, Chick-fil-A, is that how you say it? Chick-fil-A CEO makes a bizarre plea for white people to repent for racism by shining black strangers' shoes.
You know what? They should close up Chick-fil-A.
Apparently this CEO, Dan Cathy, put his words to action by shining the sneakers of Christian rapper Lecrae, whoever that is. And Dixie Chicks decided to drop the Dixie from their title. Now they're just the Chicks.
I used to like them.
And as probably you've all heard by now, there was a statue of Francis Scott Key, who wrote the Star Spangled Banner, got pulled down. So now there are people, the activists and journalists, saying that we should change the national anthem.
Ridiculous.
And they suggested John Lennon's Imagine, like it sounds like a drug-addicted
That's
experience.
exactly what it is.
Yes, and
A
that's what they want
drug-addicted
you to be
hysteria.
addicted. And listen to this one. The Court of Master Sommeliers will stop addressing its top wine experts as master, because master is said to be racist. And the Houston Association of Realtors says that it will stop permitting the term master bedroom or master bathroom.
Oh, for God's sake.
They're going to call it the primary bedroom and primary bath.
I'm not changing what I call it.
And some of the home builders now are calling it the owner's retreat instead of a master
These
bath.
people are morons.
Sean King, who is a far-left activist, claims that all the statues of Jesus Christ are a form of white supremacy and should be torn down.
Oh my God.
And,
Oh my God is right.
Yeah. Muhammad Ali's son, who actually Muhammad Ali was living in
He
our
lived
area
he
for
lived right around
many
here.
years.
Uh-huh.
His son, Muhammad Ali Jr., 47, said his father would have hated
That's
the
right.
racist Black Lives Matter protest.
That's right.
He claims the movement is pitting black people against everyone else. And Muhammad Ali Jr. said his dad believed that all lives matter and would have branded
Right.
protesters demanding an end to systemic racism as devils. Ali also said his father would be a Donald Trump supporter if he was alive.
That's right.
And he says that Trump is a good president and that Antifa has stoked violence against protests, saying that they need to kill everyone in that thing. I'm
Right.
just quoting here, just quoting.
And
what
by the way, the
someone said.
Antifa flag is almost duplicate for the Nazi flag.
Yes.
And one of my friends posted that on Facebook, and it was dropped in 1 minute. They
A
took
lot
it
of
off.
things, they're taking a lot of things down. Now, COVID-19. COVID-19. The FDA warns of hand sanitizers containing toxic chemicals like
Oh, duh, we said that's his kingdom come.
Yes, I would never use hand sanitizers. However, they have listed 9 brands made from Mexico that apparently
Especially Mexico.
contain the methanol wood alcohol, which is toxic when
Anything
absorbed
from
into the
Mexico,
skin.
they have no regulations.
No hand sanitizer. Wash your hands.
I
Soap and
wouldn't
water.
even- don't
Soap
even eat
and
food from
water.
Mexico.
Soap and water. Masks. Okay? Biden
Mexico
says,
is worse than Afghanistan.
Biden says he'd use executive powers to force Americans to wear masks in public if he was elected, and he would do everything possible to ensure that Americans wear masks in public.
That's why you can't see their face, you know what they're saying.
Governor Gavin Newsom out of California,
Newscom.
or Nuisance, is being sued over mask and home imprisonment by Larry Klayman, the founder of both Judicial Watch and Freedom Watch, and
Good.
now general counsel of Freedom Watch. Now, his lead plaintiff is Judy Mikovits, who is a world-renowned expert in virology. And guess what?
What?
She worked alongside Dr. Anthony Fauci at the military's research facility in Fort Detrick, Maryland. So
NSA.
this woman knows something.
Yes, she does.
And also Ben Stein, who's an accomplished actor, writer, lawyer, and financial expert. Oh, and I forgot to mention Judy Mikovits, the virologist, also is a co-author of a book called, a New York Times best-selling book called Plague of Corruption. So these
Yes, I
people
know
are
her,
all
I know
suing.
her.
These people are all suing government Gavin Newsom
Newscom, he should be removed from office and brought up on treason.
over the mask and home imprisonment. Now, Washington State
And he works closely with Nancy Pants Pelosi.
Washington State is making not wearing a face mask a misdemeanor crime. Every Washingtonian must wear a facial covering when in public space, both indoor and outdoor.
That's crazy.
And Washington State sheriffs are advising the populace to defy the order.
Good.
Sheriff Robert Snaza, a Republican from Lewis County, I used to live there, believe it or not,
And they never forgot it either.
said, "Don't be a sheep."
Good.
And he spoke about the coronavirus safety order during a speech in a church parking lot.
That's what I'm telling you, people. Don't follow their stupid rules that will kill you. If you all ignore it, all resist, they cannot enforce it.
Klickitat County Sheriff Bob Songer also spoke out against the governor's order. You like this? He called Inslee an idiot
He is an idiot.
who was overstepping his bounds and violating people's constitutional rights.
Yes.
Now get this, Inslee wants people over the age of 5. I would not want my child wearing that stupid thing. It's dangerous. With exceptions in outdoor spaces where people can remain 6 feet from each other.
Listen, Inslee should be Outsley.
Now listen to this. If you get arrested, or if they catch you, I guess, then you face a $1,000 fine or up to 90 days in jail. So my opinion is you should take the 90 days in jail, because if enough people say we're going to jail, they're going to have to do something.
Well, don't worry, because all the bad criminals have been released, so you'll be the only one in there.
But guess what? You could say, well, I'm afraid of getting COVID-19. You have to let me go.
Right. Well, I think I might have it. So
Yeah,
then,
there you go.
Yeah, they won't let you in jail.
Yeah, then you'll stay out. But like I said,
Right.
don't pay the fine, go to jail. Florida Keys, a bunch of islands out in the middle of
Yes,
the ocean.
yes, nothing,
Okay,
nothing.
they're
there.
requiring face masks until June of 2021.
Oh, they're out of their mind. No one's going to go there.
The only
They're gonna go
exceptions are for children, again, 6 and under, and anyone eating or drinking in a restaurant or exercising in a gym if they're 6 feet apart from each other. And this is the first area or state that has mandated this law through next year. And also in Florida, Palm Beach County residents, good for you, you stood up for yourselves. However, the county commissioners still approved the face mask requirement by unanimous 7-0 vote. Now, according to this, again, like these other governors, they're saying they have to wear them inside and outside.
No.
So one local resident told the commissioners who approved this mandatory face mask law that they would face the wrath of God
That's
since
right.
the mask
I
is
saw
killing
that.
people, and that wearing one would be obeying the devil's laws.
I saw that woman. God bless her.
She said, we will get together and do a citizen's arrest on
Yes.
every single human
Good.
being that goes against the freedom of choice. She says you cannot mandate killing people.
Right.
We the people are waking up and we know what a citizen's arrests are.
Good.
Citizens' arrests are already happening, and every single one of you that's obeying the devil's laws are going to be arrested. You are going to be arrested for crimes against humanity.
Absolutely.
Every single one of you has a smirk behind that little mask. Every single one of you is going to get punished by God. You cannot escape God. You cannot escape God. I'm going to say that again. You cannot escape God.
That's right. God bless that woman.
And she said, instead of trying to stop the virus, the country should be trying to stop the protests and the riots.
And the demonstrators.
And the riots that are spreading, and they're
And
worried
tearing
about
down history.
they're worried about the coronavirus spreading, but they're not worried about the riots spreading.
Yeah, that's
What's
okay.
wrong with that
But
picture?
a Trump rally, the virus could spread, but a demonstration, oh, that's okay.
Now I'm going to tell you the Palm Beach commissioners are a little smarter than the Washington people, because
Well,
here
duh.
I'll tell you why. You know, because even though they've mandated this, they're not going to give you jail time, only a fine, because they know they can't arrest everybody and put them in jail.
It's against the law. It's against the Constitution, which I just vowed to support.
So in Florida, Tampa, a masked man went into Walmart to
Yeah, I
protest
saw that.
the Florida face mask law.
Mhm.
Now what he wore was an open mesh mask. Did you see that one?
Well, he pushed he attacked the
No,
employee.
no,
Wasn't that the one?
no. I'm talking about a mesh mask. Man, you weren't listening to
can't
me.
say that.
A man paraded a mesh mask. Now these masks are worn for playing paintball or dirt biking. So they're basically, you know what a mesh is?
Yes.
Okay, that's what it was. So they're basically, like we talked about, building
You
the
could
fence.
breathe.
Like building the fence to keep out a mosquito. There's
Mhm.
huge holes in his mask.
Mhm.
That's it. So he went inside, he said nobody stopped him, it's about compliance, it's not about safety. Because if it's
Right.
about safety and they saw this
Right.
mask, it was
Right.
it was like putting a chain link fence over your face, basically.
Right, it's so stupid.
But they allowed him in. Now listen to this. Ohio GOP lawmaker Nino Vitale refused to wear a mask because faces are the likeness of God. He said, this is the greatest nation on earth founded on Judeo-Christian principles. One of those principles is that we are all created in the image and likeness of God. That image is seen the most by our face. I will not wear a mask.
Good for him.
He said, when you go to bed at night, you have no idea what your rights will be when you get up the next morning.
That's
And
the
that's
truth.
the truth. Every day we don't know what's
With the
going to
weather,
happen.
you don't know if your house is going to be standing. Well, the earthquake.
Well, if the weather looks good compared to what's happening
Between
to
the
our
earthquake
rights.
and the tornado, we don't know.
And so, Senator Nino Vitale created a YouTube video where he shows that oxygen levels drops within seconds when wearing a mask.
Yes,
That's been
right.
being refuted.
It's unhealthy.
That's being refuted. However, it's still up. So watch the video. Now get this one. In Oregon, Lincoln County, to prevent racial profiling, are saying that the face mask order exempts non-white people.
What?
So in other words, if they're worried about people dying, let's take it from that
So
side.
that's racism right there.
Yes, but if they actually believe that, then they're putting the people of color at risk.
I have a color.
But I'm telling you, the first level, without even talking about what you're talking about, the first level is people of color can't wear a mask if they don't want to, which means they're at risk for COVID-19 if you believe in mask wearing, right?
True, that's true.
So they're going to kill you all off, people of color in Lincoln County. That's according to
People,
this.
You need to wake the F up.
Now, according to the second level, of course, which is what we believe in, It says people of color, which we have a color, which I've talked about.
That means everybody.
You know, if I went there and got arrested, I would say I have a color. I'm not clear.
First
I
of
have a
all,
color.
you are part black and you are part Indian, so you
Part
have
a lot of
you
things.
have different colors in there.
Yeah, Native American,
Mhm.
indigenous people. So it says no person shall intimidate or harass people who do not comply. And activists have raised concerns that the directives could put non-white people in danger. And the black people say to order people to wear face coverings are basically telling people to look dangerous, giving racial stereotypes that are out there. I mean, it's so crazy. It's beyond crazy. Here in Michigan, an executive order went into effect on April 26, stating any individual able to medically tolerate a face covering must wear a covering. And then this article goes on to say, this is a website, and this one is a very important one. Okay, this website says that then, after this order was talked about, the media tried to strike fear into business owners and citizens and said things like, Michigan now requires face coverings in public enclosed spaces, what you need to know, making no mention about what we have talked about, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act. And HIPAA, all of that saying you have a right, if you medically cannot tolerate it, to not wear it. Because if you don't wear it, it says now those with medical conditions are being treated as second-class citizens. So this website, if you feel you've been discriminated against, you can make a report, and they will help you with this. 6 persons in Pittsburgh filed a suit against Giant Eagle in Pittsburgh that said that they couldn't come in without the mask. So, because we have the Americans with Disabilities Act and HIPAA, it says they think more suits are to follow. So HIPAA means it's a violation for them to ask you about your medical conditions.
It is, right.
So businesses should be automatically assuming that anyone without a mask is doing so due to a medical condition. So if you don't want to wear the mask because of a medical thing, which they have no right to know, and medical is also emotional and mental and anything else, you can go to this website and state a complaint and they will help you follow through.
And yet, the airlines are refusing boarding to people who refuse
Then
to
I
wear
think
it.
if anybody's had that experience, go here and tell them you have a medical condition and you need to fly. So it's there. And also, this was also interesting to me, did you know that if you wear a mask or a partial face covering while carrying a concealed weapon, that is a Class 6 felony. So, now people are writing in from all over the U.S. to whomever they write into about their laws saying, can I carry a weapon and wear the mask? They're claiming, this is Virginia, so I'm just going to tell you about Virginia because
They have a bad government,
this
too.
is what I found. Virginia says in a state of emergency that does not apply, and since there is a state of emergency, yes, you can wear a mask and carry your concealed weapon, which if you have a legal concealed weapon, that's one thing, but if you have an illegal concealed weapon, so it's opening up the doors for everybody.
What could go wrong?
Now, this one, I think, here, hold up our books while I talk. This one.
Well, actually, hold on. I just need
What?
to. I dropped something. It was just one of my testicles. Don't worry. Okay, here we go.
Okay, so these books talk about salt water and how it's sea salt and it's good for you. And this one, this one right here, when you remember they don't want you to have salt, right? Salt has 87 minerals that your body needs, good salt. I recommend Fleur de Sel from France. This details that, and we talk about using sea salt in both of these books. Guess what?
Put them down.
You can put them down.
They're so heavy.
Sea salt. Is it possible, this is an article, is it possible that salt water could fight COVID-19?
Probably.
Scientists launched a trial of an unusual remedy as evidence shows it could reduce symptoms and shorten illness. So why are they closing the beaches if they know these things, right? University of Edinburgh suggests gargling saline in COVID-19 patients because a past study found it cut the length of a routine cough or cold by 2 days. So how much money did they pay for this stupid
I
study?
could have told them for $500,000.
So now they're recruiting adults in Scotland who have coronavirus so they can gargle with water and study them to see if that makes it any easier. And apparently it's the second time they've studied sea salt water and people gargling. The first one was called Elvis, Edinburgh and Lothian's viral intervention study. And they found, guess what? It actually helped if you gargle with salt water.
But it's Scotland, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they gargle with other things that maybe
But I'm
were
just telling you,
intoxicating.
this is the stupidest study. We already know sea salt was good for you. So that's why you need to go to the beaches. And I did talk about the Godzilla in mine, but you talked about that. But I did also want to mention that they are also calling it a beast of a dust storm. So a beast. So we're talking about
No, something's going on. with
demonic forces out there.
that. Yes.
Speaking of demonic forces, in Los Angeles,
There you go.
guess what happened? While all this pandemic is going on, California passes a bill to fund sterilizing children.
What?
The author, Assemblyman Miguel Santiago, Democrat in Los Angeles, established an LGBT transgender wellness fund. I think that doesn't work. To provide grants to nonprofits, hospitals, healthcare clinics like Planned Parenthood, and other medical providers that supply puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones for minors,
That's horrible.
as well as the same for adults. Now, they asked for $15 million. They passed the bill, but they haven't given it the money. However, listen to this. According to Dr. Quentin Van Meter, a board-certified pediatric endocrinologist, testified against this bill and said that studies show, he actually heads the Assembly for Health Committee, that studies show children who are treated with cross-sex hormones for their gender confusion have significant mental health issues.
Yes.
And these mental health issues remain even after hormone therapy.
Because it's in their head, not the body.
We've also talked about in our books. He warned legislators that the state would be sued in the coming years for funding transgender affirming treatments for troubled and vulnerable children because they destroy healthy body tissue, they sterilize the recipient, and they cause irreversible damage. So it's horrible. So now, my next article, I think, is one of the most significant ones, believe it or not, because in my opinion, it's the next form of mind control for our children. Now, we all know about Pokemon Go. Most people do at this point, where the kids were it's supposed to help them get out and walk around. So then they were supposed to, put in their coordinates and find things and show
They still
up.
do that.
They still have that one, but they have a new one. It's called Randonaut. Now, if you haven't heard of Randonaut, you probably soon will. It's been out, looks to me like about last year.
Oh, yes.
And how did they get it known? Well, what happened? A group of teenagers made a TikTok video.
I don't even know what that is.
It's some kind of a video thing. So that's all you need to know for this article. So on this TikTok challenge, apparently was to film yourself doing this Randonaut stuff. So what they put in, I'll tell you more about it as we progress. But first of all, you might have seen the article. And guess what? This was in West Seattle on a beach I used to walk on as a child. Alki Point. I used to go there all the time as a child. So a group of teenagers, as I said, made a grisly discovery which led to a police investigation when they were out exploring the beach. So what did they do? They put in these Randonaut numbers, which led them to coordinates, which led them to, guess what, a suitcase. So they filmed themselves opening the suitcase, and guess what was in there? Human remains.
So somebody set that up.
Somebody set that up. So apparently the girls called the police, and then they have a screenshot of the police at the crime scene. And now it says on the Seattle government's website, the statement confirms the contents of the bag were in fact human remains. Now, so now of course it's all over the news, so now everybody's thinking, okay, Randonaut, right? So I thought, what is Randonaut? So Randonaut to me is mind control. The TikTok references a Randonaut sending the group to that location, and people in the comments of the video were questioning why no one was talking about the fact that Randonaut led them there. Randonauting is using a random number generator to produce specific coordinates within a set of radius of your current location, and you can travel to as a way of exploring the world around you. So they're enticing you, obviously, which is what they do.
Yeah, I know what it is. Someone sent me the logo. The logo has a butterfly, monarch butterfly.
No, it's an owl.
Well, the one I hatched, so I had a butterfly.
No, this was an owl. This head looked like it was.
Yes, but
directed
in
to-
the inside of that was a
maybe.
butterfly.
Ah, that makes sense. Okay, people, we have a butterfly behind us. People are always talking about that butterfly.
It's a real butterfly.
Yeah. People then gather the coordinates through a dedicated app called Randonautica, where you can further define what you want to encounter. And in the comments of these girls' videos, It says that another person went randonauting a few days ago and they found a dog off its leash, and they later claim that they found out the dog's owner was dead. So isn't that a nice thing for your children to be doing out there?
Listen, this is all about mind control.
Yes, that's
and
what I'm telling you.
Attaching demonic entities to the people who perform these things.
Yes, Randonauts are a community of people who are exploring the use of random number generators to find blind spots and experiment with mind-matter interactions. This is from them, from the Randonaut people. So you can look it all up, but apparently what you do, you go to you use something called a FATUM, a FATUM bot. And so they have things random, not rotting for dummies. All you need is
The whole thing is for dummies.
well, if you're looking for your own mind control, they're doing it to you. A phone and internet. It says think of taking your dog on a walk, and usually just go for a normal walk, and you go back home. But this way, you can generate a random location in your vicinity and visit it, like these girls and the person with the dog with the owner was
Find a
dead.
dead body.
Yeah. So they're searching for blind spots. When you have a blind spot in your mind, you have a blind spot in your eye, what's wrong with you people? It says for a lot of people, they show up at locations near them they never knew existed. Many randonauts report odd, interesting, and personally meaningful experiences at these anomalous random locations. And you can read about thousands of people who have wonderful experiences. They take a drug, it sounds like. And then they're using the buzzwords of the day: a quantum point, a quantum random number generator, an attractor, a void, and a chain, all these things, mind control things. It says users have reported numerous synchronicities, oftentimes having some deeply personal significance. This can also be referred to as, listen to this one, the talking walls effect, where it literally feels like the universe begins talking to you in some way because you begin to notice patterns and information in the world around you that corresponds to your own personal life. Mind control.
Yeah,
Don't do
it's
it.
demonic entities.
It's horrible.
It's
Remember the
demonic
set of
entities.
books that we have?
Yeah.
Okay, say no to mind control. Read these and be aware, because they're insidious how they get into your mind and the mind of young people. I guess I have one more last story.
Well, better hurry up.
This one I want you to get very scared about, because
I'm scared
people
already.
are wondering about the next things that are happening. Asian tiger mosquitoes.
What happened to the
Murder
killer
hornets.
murder hornets?
I don't know, that went away, but the
They got murdered.
Asian tiger mosquitoes are now coming into Michigan, and they can spread dung fever.
Dengue.
Dengue, okay, Zika, and this one, chikungunya.
Oh, yeah.
Chikungunya.
Yeah.
You heard of that one?
Yes, oh yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Like everybody?
I used to date them.
Oh yeah, they were spotted in Wayne County. So if you see an Asian tiger mosquito, you got to report that right away, because you could die.
That's actually hundreds of miles away from us, so.
Wayne County?
Mhm.
Well, they'll be here in a second. They can fly.
Mhm.
Okay, they don't have to wear a little mask on the plane.
No, they're lucky.
Yeah. So what else you got?
So,
Oh, tomorrow. If you see this in
well,
time,
if you see it in time, but it's,
we
I
have
have my Turkish webinar tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern time until noon.
right, Healing with the Name. We have a lot of people signed up for that. If you want it and you see this in time, you can sign up.
It's kind of a repeat of the Ecuador one,
Yes.
but I'll be adding the things for the Turkish people.
Yeah.
Also, July 9th, there is a free webinar about the Templar Night Symposium that we are doing.
In the falls.
And it's going to be, the Global Night Symposium will be October 30th till November 1st in Sterling Heights, Michigan. And it's a SMOC Expansions Symposium in conjunction with Senator Michael McDonald.
So Sacred Medical Order of the Knights of Hope, July 9th, a free webinar which will discuss the
Right.
symposium in October.
And you will, I posted on my July 1 blog is the link.
For those of you who are our members,
Right.
The free webinar will only hold 100 people. We expect it to fill.
So it's for
If you're a member,
members
get your
to
link
see.
first, and if there's space available and you're not a member, then you can join.
And also with the senator and some generals in the Pentagon, I will be attending the North American Space Summit in Traverse City, Michigan, from August 31st to September 2nd.
But you mentioned that last week, and now people are writing to know, is that open to the public?
No, I just told you it's not.
Okay,
It's
you didn't just tell me,
it's
but now
it's
you
a
are.
space summit for aerospace industry, Space Force military and that kind of
All
thing.
right, but you will give us a report upon your return,
May,
correct?
I might be sworn to secrecy.
Maybe.
I don't
So,
know.
but the point is that there's a lot of things going on in the world and it will not stop, it will keep going on. So the most important thing you can do is take control of your mind and your health.
If you have a mind.
And we keep it before they take it. So remember, we've got plenty of healing books here, which we've shown you. If you're not familiar with our work, remember Hyperspace Helper, Decoding Your Life. I know people have said, well, you know, you flash a lot of books. Yeah, I flash a lot of books because this is a very short period of time we have, which, you know, really can
But
go
you
long.
should be flashing something else when you go to the supermarket.
You gotta flash something else. So here we go. So what you need to do is you can get a membership. You don't have to be a member to go on our website, expansions.com, and look at the books. And if you need any help, customer support at expansions.com. Patricia is wonderful. She will help you find out which books you need. If you know, get a membership on our website. That's where we interact with people every day. People say, "Can you talk about this? Can you talk about that?" You can see how much information we're giving you in this short time. So we are on our website every single day talking to our members around the world about all these topics in a lot more depth than what we can give you in 1 hour.
And
or less.
sometimes I'm cranky, sometimes I'm not cranky.
Not you ever.
Mostly I am cranky, but
And we have now, because of limited supply, made our Methylene Blue Plus product
yes, but
available only to members. So
oh,
you have to be a
right.
member. We can read the research, but you have to buy it because we have limited supplies now.
and there's some
Limited
nasty
supplies,
people out there.
Limited supplies.
Excuse me, there are
limited
nasty
supplies,
people out there.
Limited
This is- I'm sorry,
supplies.
this is
You
really
can't tell.
important.
No, I wouldn't tell them because that encourages nasty people.
Because they're
that
saying that we're.
encourages nasty people.
I have to say it because the smart leader asked me to do it, and it's because it's not a claim to cure anything.
No.
And people are reporting that it's a cure for this, and they were reporting it to authority, and it's not true. And so all you nasty people who want to attack us and want to be shills, go right on ahead. Like we said before, you will not hide from God.
That's right. You always have to pay whatever you're putting out. It will come back to you. But no, these are not cures. We do not tell you anything that can cure you except your mind.
I suggest that these are good for you, but I'm not claiming that it cures anything.
No. So you use all these products, you decide for yourself, we tell you what we do, what we think are good, and then you make up your own mind. Vitamin C, which I've been telling you, also is excellent, and it is cheap and not expensive, and people are having difficulty getting it for this reason. I told you sea salt is talked about in our books. There's so many things that you can do that are inexpensive where you can take control of your own mind and your own health and be self-responsible, and don't go out there and do horrible things that people are doing. Take care of yourself.
And take the oath to the Constitution of the United States, defend the United States and humanity and the world, because we are in a war and you need to be a digital soldier.
Expansions.com, get your membership. Thanks for liking, commenting, subscribing, and most importantly, share, because we don't know how long these things are up before they're going to come down.
It's a very, very...
So get your membership and then you are up to date all the time.
So where we go, when we go, all. We'll see you next week. And I guess we'll be on before 4th of July. So,
I think so.
yeah, we'll see you then.
Bye.